Find the slope and y-intercept of the linear function, then sketch a graph. In order to find the slope and the y-intercept, we need to put our equations in y equals mx plus b form. For part B, we are already in y equals mx plus b form, but for part A, we are not. So let's go ahead for part A and solve for y. If we want to solve for y right here, that means we need to move everything else away. So let's begin by subtracting 3x. That will leave us with 4y equals negative 3x plus 24. We need y by itself, so we need to divide by 4. We need to divide everything by 4. So divide the negative 3x by 4 and divide the 24 by 4. 4 divided by 4, that gives us 1. So that leaves us with y. Negative 3x divided by 4, that doesn't really divide nicely, so let's leave it. You could switch it to a decimal, but it will be easier to graph as a fraction. So let's leave it as negative 3/4 x. 24 divided by 4, that gives us 6. So now we have our different pieces. This is our slope, and this is our y-intercept. See how we have the form y equals mx plus b? So the b is our y-intercept, and that is our 6. And the m is the slope, and that is negative 3/4. So let's graph this. Let's start with the 6. Y equals 6 is right here. So let's go ahead and put our dot there. Now our slope is negative 3/4, which means we go down 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. And you go down because of the negative. And you always run to the right. So in this case, we're running to the right 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. I like to use the little jumps to help count, but you don't have to use those. You don't really need them. But now you can see the dots. We need to connect our dots. And that gives us the graph of our line. Let's try part B. Part B is already in y equals mx plus b form. The negative 1 is the b. The 3 is the m. Yes, the variable is v this time instead of x, but that's okay. It's still in the same form where we have the number times the variable and then plus or minus the constant. So we can graph this one. So for this one, our slope is 3. That doesn't give us a run, so let's put it over 1. So then we have a rise of 3 and a run of 1. And our y-intercept is negative 1. So we'll start here. Plot the y-intercept first. That gives you a point to start with. And then use your slope to get to the next point. So 3/1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. We have a little bit more space on this graph, so I'll graph a few more. Looks like that will fit. And then you don't need the little jumps if you don't want them. You can erase them. And then we can connect our dots to graph our line.